Good morning, brethren. We are back for another episode of the Strictly Fighters podcast. Unfortunately, as you will see if you are watching the video version today, we have lost Shaun. Never fear, however, he will be back next week. Shaun could not make it today. We're actually recording at a completely different time than we are used to. I'm down in Durban at the moment, so I'm not in the space of my usual podcast setup either. So the only constant that we have this week is Craig Else. How are you, Craig Else?
I'm fantastic, and I'm always constant. Consistent to the very least. Constipated too, but we'll see how that one goes. But anyway.
All right, so this episode is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, we are without one leg of our tripod. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter, but we've still got a ton of cool stuff to chat about. So let's get to it. We're going to kick off with the Legends League, as always. Craig, I have all of our 50 top martial artists of all time in the tournament draw, and I'm ready to go. Clicking the button now.
Who we got?
Okay, so today we have Trojan Miyagi versus Anderson Silva. Now, Trojan Miyagi is actually the founder of Goju-Ryu Karate. He was the guy that Mr. Miyagi was based on in the Karate Kid movies.
Is he also short and fat?
No, I never met the guy. but obviously saw loads of photos of him. He was the founding ancestor, if you like, of Goju-Ryu Karate, which is the style that I specialized in, actually. So a legend among karate circles. And then he is up against Anderson Silva, who is obviously one of the goats of MMA.
So because I don't rate karate and I like Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva is obviously trained across multiple art forms, it's an easy one, man. Silva's got to take that one.
Yeah, it is quite an easy one. I'd have to agree with you.
You're not going to pay respect to your man Miyagi.
Look, I mean, obviously he's a legend within the martial art, but he was a karate master, so he never had a ground game.
But he also knows how to wax, like on and off.
One day, I hope
the dad jokes.
Mr. Street Fighter. I hope one day you fucking meet. I hope one day you get into a street fight against somebody who's fucking legend in karate, and he absolutely chops your fucking block off, mate.
You'll have to chop because that's how they're taught.
Speaking of,
this is going to carry some heat.
You tagged me in you tagged me in a video on Facebook the other day about these two guys competing in a tournament or promotion called Karate Kombat.
Yeah. So that finally generated some respect for the genre for me. Boys are literally kicking and punching the shit out of each other. There's no points the way that old school karate works. There's actual like borders to the ring where you can run up and jump and kick, and these guys are no holds barred unless they go to the ground. As soon as they get into a clinch or go down, ref or umpire or whatever you want to call him stops it, pulls them apart, and just lets them keep beating the shit out of each other. It's fantastic to watch. So anyone who follows the UFC and doesn't like ground game, there is something out there for you. What did you think of it, by the way, as a purist? I've seen pieces of it before, but this was the first time I actually watched a full fight where you actually saw the extent of the brutality of it.
Yeah, so I came across it a couple of weeks back, maybe 2 weeks ago, for the first time. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. I think it's been around since 2018, actually. But it's always been very underground. So they've never kind of consciously made an effort to mass promote it into mainstream martial arts. So it's always been, even like, and they're super innovative with their coverage and their broadcast and their camera angles and the FIFA video game type style like tail of the tapes and stats and things that they bring up and they overlay on the screen. It's really cool. It's pretty futuristic. The camera angles and the way that they cover and broadcast the fights are amazing. And they've actually, and I was doing a little bit of research on it, they actually have chosen venues based on the ability to do these kind of things at the expense of having massive crowds. Wow. So it's quite an underground movement. It's very Fight Clubbish. I think now, only recently in the past couple of weeks, it started kind of breaking out on social media. And it's super cool. Like, so in karate, you've got, I would say 4 or 5 main styles. Okay. You've got Goju-ryu, you've got Wado-ryu, you've got Shotokan, and then you've also got Kyokushin, which is full contact karate. Now, that's what GSP studied. So GSP, when people say that he comes from a karate background, which he does, but he studied Kyokushin, which is full contact. So this now is a promotion, a karate promotion, right? That brings all of these different styles together in a full contact, almost no holds barred type matchups. Like you say, there are rules. So there are more rules than in MMA. For example, being broken up in the clinch, you're not allowed to use elbow and knee strikes. And once you get to the ground, you're only allowed 5 seconds to work on the ground. So there's still throws, there's still takedowns, there is still groundwork, but it's not jiu-jitsu based. It's not wrestling based. It's basically how much damage you can inflict on the ground in 5 seconds. Up kicks are allowed, for example, which I think in the UFC, they're not. So there's some really cool, let's share that video on our page.
Yeah, no, we'll do. I definitely will, because that's pretty epic. So from your research that you've done on the, that specific promotion, did you see any big names that have come out of that, or not come out of it because it's pretty new, but that are in that specific promotion at the moment?
I knew no one.
You knew no one?
No.
No one. Okay.
However,
do you think
the
will...
reason the reason I came across it is because GSP is becoming an ambassador. Okay. So he's going to become heavily involved with Karate Kombat. It's called Karate Kombat, guys. Go Google it, go YouTube it. We'll share the video that Craig tagged us in on our page, because it's pretty badass. I think that's probably one of the best fights that I've seen. I've watched a couple of fights from it now. It's almost like a movie, isn't it? Like that. Yeah. That's the type of shit you see in movies.
Yeah, that's it. The exact type of fight styles that you see in movies. So talking about movies, if we had to start looking at the best fight movies, I'm not talking about action movies, I'm talking about martial arts movies. Where do you stand? So let's create a little poll here. So I love this part of it. So the top 5 movies, if we had to start ranking them, let's create a little, what do you call it? I'm speechless.
I'm purposefully not helping you because I'm enjoying this. This is nice.
Not. I'm not talking about the list, but there needs to be criteria. So, what is the criteria we're going to rank it by? Because is it the best fight scene within a movie, or are we talking about the fight movies that have had the longest lasting impact on a generation? Because then it's 2 different lists.
So let's do this, right? This would be my proposal. My suggestion would be to work off a list of the top 5 martial arts movies of all time, or for us, right? This is our opinion, obviously. And then the top 5 worst. Let's go top 5 worst. And in terms of the criteria, what I would suggest is that we do the overall movie experience. So including the fact that best and worst by virtue of the actual movie. Was it a shit movie with great fight scenes? Well, then where does it rank? Was it a great movie with average fight scenes? Okay, but the overall experience. So when you sit back, when you finished watching the movie and you're like, holy shit, that was epic.
And
cool.
Has it to a certain extent stood the test of time?
Yeah, let's do that as well. Because I mean, you know, a lot of them will be vintage.
Yes, very much so. Okay.
You start. Let's throw. How do you want to do this? Do you want to throw some?
So 1-1. We go 1-1. So at number 5, I'll put Karate Kid, just purely because it I believe it stood the test of time. The experience is still great because the story is fantastic. The fight scenes are, it's karate, so it's not the most enjoyable for me specifically, but it's traditional to the actual art form, so they were pretty accurate in that regard. And the whole storyline behind it was great. We'll talk about the sequels just now because that'll come up too. But that I would say that would go in as my number 5.
Dude, you know what I think? Actually, the rule of compounding shitness in movies from a sequel perspective happens tenfold in martial arts movies, doesn't it? Because like Karate Kid 1 was great, Karate Kid 2 was decent, Karate Kid 3, and from then on, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it
50
just
file of
disintegrates.
feats. Yeah, so
it just disintegrates. It's so
okay,
bad.
I'm with you on that one though.
Okay,
my turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going in order, then around 5-4. What about The Matrix?
Oh, you're okay. So that one you've thrown in a bit early. I would have gone higher up the list. So the reason I say that, once again, we're talking about Matrix 1. the trilogy was decent overall, correct, but the others are nowhere near number 1. But the story, the graphics, the martial arts they built into that was one of the most incredible movies I've ever seen, and it shaped a generation, literally.
Okay. Let's hold off on that then. Yeah. What about? Oh, speaking of mixed martial arts movies, where would you rank Never Back Down?
So that one has me so split. It drives me insane. So I enjoyed the movie. I genuinely enjoyed the movie. But when you look at it as so from a movie experience, great, I enjoyed it. When you look at it as a martial art, it has destroyed the internet because everyone absolutely hates the movie. They say from an MMA perspective, it is the shittest content they've ever seen. And a lot of people said they stopped the movie early and read the rest on online to see what happens in it because they couldn't watch it anymore. I dug so deep into this because I need to understand like why people don't like it. And it was so strange, man. But I enjoyed it, but I don't believe it comes in the top 5. For me, it can't, because do you know how many people I know that haven't seen it?
Yeah, that's true.
For me, it's just not mainstream enough. Like, it didn't change anything. It came out to promote this amazing art form, and they didn't do it justice, even though I enjoyed it.
Kingdom, by the way, I know I keep hopping on it, but if you are into MMA and you want to watch real fucking MMA shit, Kingdom.
It's a series. One. Get in there. It is a series.
It's a series. That's,
okay.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can't mention it yet.
Okay. So what would your number 4 be?
So if I had to throw in a movie from the modern day to at least kind of mix it up, it's going to have to be Southpaw.
Ooh, that's a good. I didn't even think about that one.
I need that in there. For me, in my top 5, it's boxing genre. The way they created it, the storyline of it, the acting in it, the methodness of how he played his role. He was fully trained as a boxer to be able to do that. He did weight cutting. He went through the whole experience to play that role. And the storyline, the boxing scenes, nothing like that for me is the modern day Rocky. Like, that is right up there. So that goes in my top 5.
Southpaw was amazing as an overall 100%. Cinematic experience, not even just the fight scenes, but the movie itself, the casting, the production, polished, man, absolutely polished. The soundtrack, like Eminem did the fucking soundtrack, mate.
You just, every aspect of that movie is just pure quality. So for me, that's a good number.
Where would you rank that versus the Rocky movies?
So for me, we have to count Rocky as a full package.
Franchise. Yeah. We can't. There's like 100 of them.
There's too many of them, and they were all, for me, they were all good. They all played their role, and top once 5? Again, Yeah, it's 100% in the top 5. That's on my list for sure. But because that's like beginning of my generation, that's not really what we live for. We enjoyed the movies, but it wasn't our time. I would probably make that number 3. Well, let's go number 4 actually, because I would put Matrix just before that at number 3, and at number 2 I'd put Southpaw, because that was quality, the way it was written. It's our generation, so like that's something we're proud to be a part of. That's the best music we like. That's the music we listened to growing up. That's Eminem, man. So for me, Southpaw comes number 2. I enjoyed watching it more than watching Rocky.
I think you're offending the boomers, bro. The boomers, bro. The boomers are going to be on Facebook being like, "What the fuck are these little idiots talking about?" Like,
okay, but on a serious platform they use.
On a serious note, like your list is basically down to number 1, which I'm super interested to hear what you've got. But there's a whole host of things missing here, so I'll tell you what some of the ones that I've got.
So do some honorable mentions here.
What about the original Mortal Kombat?
Okay, so as a fan of the movie, like 100% a huge fan, because at the time we thought the graphics and everything was great. I've rewatched it. It does not stand the test of time.
Oh no, man! Like the fight scenes, the for me that was one of the original successes of bringing a video game to life. We think about other ones. How was Tekken? Tekken was fucking average. Street Fighter was an absolute joke.
Street Fighter, that falls, by the way, in the opposite side of the scale. That is actually in my bottom 5. They ruined a franchise. They ruined it.
But Mortal Kombat, like the original Mortal Kombat from 1995,
with the technology
I can still watch that today, and
oh man, I don't know.
Okay, but
can you see it replacing anything on the list that I said though? That's my big question, because there's no way it's coming number 1. And
I would say Mortal Kombat could challenge Southpaw for I think it could. But wait, let me sprout off some others here.
Okay.
What about Bloodsport and Kickboxers? Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No.
Straight up.
Watchability is hurtful. The cinematic around it is terrible. I mean, him as a martial artist, fantastic. He just didn't have the best team around him to shoot those movies. So if you're going to go that deep into like martial arts and like they really focused on the martial art of it, then I would put in some honorable mentions like Undisputed, like
that's with Wesley Snipes.
What's the other one with Jay White?
Michael Jai White, Blood and Bone.
Blood and Bone. Oh man, like those are like underground movies.
Undisputeds were fucking good with Yuri Boyka.
Yeah, exactly. So those for me is honorable mentions because they focused on the fighting of it. It didn't go big because the cinematic part of it wasn't based on that. Like they weren't trying to turn it into a blockbuster. But if you watch it for the fight purists, that was enjoyable. Like I loved those movies, but it didn't shape a generation. It didn't add anything. Like, do you know? Once again, do you know how many people I know wouldn't even know that Undisputed exists? So like that's where things get a little bit interesting. So
okay, let's get to the fucking let's get to the bottom of the tunnel.
Okay, no, I need to know your number 1, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay, and there is unequivocally, absolutely not a single doubt about this in my mind. And if there is a doubt about it in anybody else's mind who is listening or watching, including yourself, Craig, then fucking check yourselves. Check yourselves.
This is. I hope you're gonna say the right thing. Otherwise, this is gonna be a fuck you moment.
The greatest martial arts movie that has ever been made of all time, is Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say it. I can't.
Come at me, bro. At me, bro.
I'll give it to you that replaces something on the top 5 list. 100% replaces something on the top 5 list because yes, it has one of the best fight scenes of all time. 100%. Like it blows your mind how good that fight scene is. As a movie, I don't think it is number one. I can't give you cinematic experience, can't give you like fight overall. It doesn't match up for me. So from a storyline point of view either, like it's a decent storyline, it's not the best. There's not enough depth to it.
Do you realize this movie was made in 1973?
Yeah, by one of the best martial artists to ever live. You should have done better. So,
yes, bro. If I could punch your face through the screen.
No, listen, I loved Enter the Dragon. It was one of the, I mean, we had the DVD at the house. We used to watch it. I mean, it was incredible. So yes, I'll give it to top 5.
If you speak about a movie standing the test of time, there is no rival.
You want to bet? Okay, here's number one. Here's number one. Best martial arts movie that wasn't based on a martial art. It had the best storyline, best twist, stood the test of time, changed a generation, and is still spoken about. And no one can get away from how good that movie was. It has to be Fight Club. It has to be.
Oh my word! You must be joking.
It has to be.
You must be absolutely so far up your own ass.
When we talk about a martial arts being raw and why people watch martial arts and watch UFC and watch these things on TV, it's because of how raw it is, and people literally beat the shit out of each other. This movie had the most intricate storyline, had the most mind-blowing twist, and the fight scenes were just people literally beating the living shit out of each other. It was
okay. You know what I'll give you? I will give you the rawness and the realness and the authenticity of that film. And maybe that could slide somewhere into my top 5. But the greatest martial arts movie of all time, Fight Club? Dude, we need to go back to recording at our usual time, because you must be either drunk or you just woke up, or I don't know what the fuck's going on in your mind, bro. Dude, the fight scenes were so average, right? It was real, basically replicating the realness of street fighting, for example, but so fucking average. Brad Pitt, for God's sake, are you having a laugh? And
look at him in that movie.
The twist was great. Great movie, great cinematic experience. But the greatest martial arts film of all time, over Enter the Dragon. Craig, is that you?
So
is that
fuck off? It's the thing is, they wrote that literally for a generation of anarchists. The whole story was told based on this chaos, and they brought it into an underground fight. It was people who didn't follow any rules. They wanted to live outside of society, and they walked in and they're like, let's just be like men, just beat the shit out of each other and create a whole underground community based on it. It was incredible as a movie experience. You walked out of that movie mind blown, and you cannot get away from that. So for me, it's in my top 5 fight movies. Maybe in martial arts, I'm not a big martial arts person. It's fight movie. That for me is what encapsulates a pinnacle of a movie experience. And I can watch it today and it'll be just as good as it was the day it came out.
Okay, so let's do this, Craig. It seems we're at an impasse. Let's put it to the listeners. Okay. Let's put it to the viewers. All right, and we're gonna run a fucking poll on the Facebook page. Okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna say, let's hear from everyone out there what movie as a martial arts movie was better.
Okay.
Enter the Dragon or Fight Club.
Okay, and that's as a holistic movie experience and a movie that has stood the test of time.
Correct. We let the people decide, bro. Listen to the kids, bro.
Tell us, what do we need to know? Okay.
Cool. Top 5 worst martial arts movies of all time. You want to kick it off?
Okay, this one's gonna break my heart, and I'm gonna put it at number 5 because it wasn't terrible, but it has to go in the top 5. Like, it is down there with cinematic quality. And I loved this movie, but it has to go in there. because it's just not great. And the sequels were even worse. And
okay, take us out of our suspense.
The Three Ninjas.
Oh, I love those movies, bro.
Exactly.
I love them.
But
Do you know
they
what?
were so bad. They were so bad.
Do you know what I found?
Yeah.
I found that when I was just watching them, I grew up watching them and I absolutely loved them. And then I watched them. They've been on DSTV, which is like satellite television in South Africa. For like the past 2 years, they've been popping up here and there, and I've rewatched them. And I still love them for their novelty and the value, you know, the kind of nostalgic value that they bring. And I still enjoyed them. And then when I went to read about what people thought about it, and that's when, you know, the internet just trashed the absolute shit out of them. And then that kind of ruined it for me. And I was kind of like, yeah, you know, you've all got kind of valid points, but
it is pure, it's pure nostalgic value because we loved it as kids. Because the idea of a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old going and taking down a whole crime syndicate was
Rocky
epic.
Colt and Tum Tum.
Yeah, exactly. It was
okay, but okay.
It has to be my number 5 because of the quality and the cinematic buildup of it. To me, it stood the test of time because I loved it. But from a mass audience perspective, it was trash. So it's I have to go with that. Next one on your list. First one.
Have you ever watched a movie called The Art of Self-Defense?
No, it sounds like a tutorial.
So it's a recent movie, maybe a couple of years old, with Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh,
okay. And he basically plays this weird kid who gets bullied and whatever and starts karate with these weird people, and like it's just so strange and left-wing and alternative and turned into like a political commentary on life versus death and some weird ass shit. And I was super excited about it. And I got like the people who were in the house at the time to come and sit and watch this with me. And by halfway, and I was like, if you guys want to go, like you can, because this is absolute fucking dog shot. Check it out. Well, don't watch it. I'm telling you now. But that would be right up there. That would be in my top 5. Like it's a lot of it's based in a karate dojo with karate people, and it's just you could barely call it a martial arts movie, but it is. It has fight scenes. It has philosophy and tradition.
Philosophy, great. Yeah.
I'd put that in there around number 5 or 4 for me.
Okay. Next one for me, Street Fighter.
Again, when I watched it when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and been playing the game for a couple of years, loved it. If I watch it now, yeah, I kind of get why you would say that.
What's next?
Have you ever watched a movie called Beverly Hills Ninja? Kung Fu.
How can you put that in your bottom 5?
Dude, like, you know, what a cool movie. It's super fun. It has
from a cinematic experience. That was amazing. That
actually has Liu Kang, the guy who played Liu Kang in the original Mortal Kombat. So yeah, I don't know. If it's not in your top 5,
but you can't put it in your bottom 5 because it's the man. He died also. I think the main actor died. The White Ninja.
Really?
I think he
the Great White Ninja.
Yeah, the Great White Ninja.
I thought he couldn't die.
Well, he's sitting in the clouds. But
just a suggestion.
Dude, that for me was I watched that over and over again on cassette tape. Like
I enjoyed watching it.
That was repetitive. And that had Chris Rock in. Chris Rock was his driver. He swings in the palm tree.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Oh man.
Okay.
That was a big one. That was a big one for me.
What's next for you? What's number 3 worthy for you?
Have you ever watched a movie that's called Mr. Nice Guy? By Jackie Chan. And it's hurtful for me to say one of Jackie Chan's movies falls in my bottom 5. Yes, because some of the fight scenes are great. He's this rich guy and he always wears white, and like one of the fight scenes was incredible, but as a movie it was just terrible. So that's gonna have to be like number 3 for me. Anything else?
I've got number 1 and 2.
Okay, give us number 2.
It's called Kung Fu Hustle. Have you ever seen it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you number 2.
And
okay.
again, you know, these are spoofs, but
yeah,
even then, like it's novel to watch the first time. Then when you rewatch it, you're actually like, who actually took time out of their daily lives to come together and produce something like this?
Okay,
that would be my number 2.
Okay, so I've got 2 tied for number 1. Okay,
Hit me.
So first one, Dragon Ball Z. The movie remake was a demolition of a cult, like anime that was created that literally shaped the generation. Like there is people still living and watching. There's people who are today 35 years old still watching that anime. They love it. And they ruined it with the movie. Like there was enough technology during that time when it was created to create something incredible. And they destroyed a whole genre. So that would be one of my number 1.
I'll be honest, I've never seen it because I wasn't a Dragon Ball Z fan. So I've never watched Dragon Ball Z. I was a Pokemon fan. So I used to watch Pokemon instead because it was on around the same time on a different channel every day after school. But I've heard you and Shaun talk about that. So I can't really comment, but based on your knowledge of movies, I would back you up on that one.
Okay, so what is your number 1 then?
Kung Pao.
We just tied for number 1. It was the worst movie ever made.
Dude, like
I'm literally 100% on board with you because that was my number 2.
It was so bad, it's good. Do you know what I mean?
Like I can rewatch that 100 times because of how bad it is. It's like watching Borat. The movie is so bad, but so good to watch. But from a martial art, they spoofed a whole martial art. They destroyed it. Yes, Kung Pao is my number 1 worst martial art movie, 100%.
Counterintuitively, having said that, if you haven't seen it, go give it a watch.
It's weird that we're saying this, but you got to see it.
It's so bad that it's good.
You can't help
it. Where would Tekken rank for you? Top 5 or top 10? Or did you actually enjoy Tekken?
No, it was terrible.
Tekken wasn't great. There's a difference. There's your difference between like the vintage Mortal Kombat being able to bring a video game to life and Tekken, which has almost as much to bring to life as the Mortal Kombat universe. And they just weren't able to do it with more money, with more cinematography, with more.
They had more characters.
Technology.
Tekken had more characters within the game to build on. And they also already built the characters' backstories within the game. So they had a platform to work from. So it could probably even replace Street Fighter.
Do you know what could also replace either of those? The latest Power Rangers remake. I was scrolling through my Facebook memories this morning, and that actually came up. I went to go and watch it while I was still living in Amsterdam. I think it was 2016. And oh my God, that
you spent money to watch it.
Horrendous.
That is
and I was so excited, man. Like I loved Power Rangers when I was smaller, obviously, and I loved the first Power Rangers movie. The one with Ivan Ooze. Like again, if I go back and watch it now, you know, it's tough. But
it has not stood the test of time.
Even that movie was better than the remake.
Yeah,
the remake was. I think you know what happened. They didn't know if they wanted to make the movie for children or for adults who used to love Power Rangers.
Exactly.
They got caught in the middle somewhere and
they lost both. Yeah, for sure. 100% agree with that. They had so much more technology to work with. They could have just built a story into it. Like the story was just so weak. So yeah, I agree. That definitely could fall in there for sure.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Anyone.
Just yeah,
Disclaimer.
don't watch that. That's really not worth your time. And if you're like Jay, who actually paid to watch it, I'm so sorry.
I paid euros to watch that shit, bro.
Euros.
Fuck's sakes.
Probably in IMAX too.
Yeah, it was. It was too. Okay, so we've got two things left to chat about, Craigles.
Yeah.
The UFC 260 preview, massive, coming up this weekend, and then we're going to do our celebrity deathmatch feature to finish off. So, UFC 260 this weekend, the heavyweight championship of the world is on the line. Stipe Miocic, the heavyweight champion, versus Francis Ngannou, the #1 contender. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, if you look at Ngannou, his last 4 fights combined have lasted 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Scary.
That
is a scary human being.
That's exactly it for me. The punch part. I mean, he's got the strongest punch in the world. And that's undisputed. Like that is.
So let's
ranked.
Just to contextualize that, the UFC have a machine at the Performance Institute, basically, where they can measure the force of a punch. And they've got a whole bunch of people from all around the world to come and do it. And obviously all the UFC fighters. Francis Ngannou has the hardest, strongest punch that has ever been physically recorded in human history. I might be slightly off here with the details, but Dana White was saying that it is the equivalent of being hit by a Ford at 60 kilometers an hour, or by being hit by a 12-pound sledgehammer coming down with maximum force.
Imagine that in your face.
Mate, Stipe is not scared, is he? I mean, let's be honest, he's the champion. He's fought big, scary men his whole life, but good God.
So
what are you doing getting into a cage with that man?
Exactly. So Stipe for sure is the more technically gifted fighter. He's the more technically talented.
Agree.
He should win this, but I don't think he holds Ngannou off for 5 rounds, which that I give it to Ngannou for the win, purely because I can't see anyone holding him off for 5 rounds where he doesn't land anything. And when he does land, it hurts. So
just remember, Stipe TKO'd him in the first fight. Huh? So these guys have fought before. True. About 3 years ago for the heavyweight championship. And Stipe TKO'd Francis, I think, in the second or the third round. Second round, I think, midway through the second round. And he took him to ground a couple of times. Stipe's got great wrestling, huh?
Yeah.
He's got very good stand-up. He's a solid striker. He's got great wrestling. He's definitely stronger on the ground. Having said all of that, this was 3 years ago. Francis has come on in leaps and bounds since then. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten faster at knocking people the fuck out as well. And he's definitely improved as a technical fighter as well.
Yeah.
That guy's uppercut will send your soul to heaven, straight to heaven.
Yeah.
You will bypass the stratosphere. You will bypass space.
You might even take your body with you. I honestly, I think this time he'll take it. I think he wants it more too.
How's he get it done?
Knockout first round.
Oh, I like it. It makes me excited.
I think he comes out hot because I don't think he can allow Stipe to get into the fight.
Well, here's the thing, right? I was watching UFC Countdown last night, and they've got a lot of really good context behind what happened in the first fight and why it happened the way it happened. And Francis was saying that he'd never experienced that level of hype and the media and the circus and the attention and all around him. And what he said was, when he got into that octagon, he was just going in there to smash Stipe. He kind of forgot the game plan. He forgot everything that was going on around him. He wanted to just get this shit over with. And he said that he'd never gone into a fight that way. But that fight, he went in there to just go and try and get this guy out of there first round, quick sticks, and smash the living shit out of him. So I think that because he's learned from that first experience and he got caught and he got clipped because of that mindset, that he's going to come in not calmly, but he's going to come in with a game plan. Yes, he's going to come in with the game plan that he's going to try and stick to. Now, bear in mind, I still think that even with the leaps and bounds that he's made, if he gets taken down, if Stipe puts Francis on the ground, he still has the advantage there, which again boggles my mind, but speaks to what Shaun has been saying in a couple of the past episodes around if you know your way around the ground, from a jiu-jitsu perspective, from a grappling and a wrestling perspective, size and strength is somewhat negated. So I think that Francis is going to come in looking for the knockout. Of course, he's a knockout artist, the scariest in the world, but I think that he will have a game plan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think he will want to get it done as early as possible. He just cannot allow Stipe to get into the fight. But Stipe's been there a while, man. He knows how to fight in championship rounds. So
people are calling him basically the greatest heavyweight of all time because he has the most title defenses. He's beaten a host of top guys. Interesting segue. Remember that the winner of this fight will fight John Jones next.
Oh man, we'll talk about that another time because
there's so many good matchups coming up in the UFC. Anyway, so I think I want Francis to win. He's one of our own. He's African. He's from Cameroon. It's always nice for us as South Africans to see Africans doing well in the UFC. So obviously, I'm rooting for him. I like Stipe. I love Stipe. I think he's a great champion. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But I want Francis. I'm rooting for Francis, and I think that Francis gets it done early, man. I'm with you, bro. How can you not be?
Yeah.
I think Francis gets the knockout first round. I'm gonna call it too.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, how do you get hit by that and still stand?
I don't know.
And now, here's my even bigger question. How do you get hit by that twice and still stand? If he lands, it doesn't make sense to me how a human being can fight through that.
Guys, if this is one of those cards where if you don't watch MMA or UFC, check it out. Even if it's just the main event, check it out. This is one of the biggest fights in the UFC, heavyweight division. Two absolute monsters going at it.
Yeah,
you'll enjoy it
for sure. It's Godzilla versus Mothra or Kong. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's literally the biggest of the biggest, strongest of the strongest going to war.
This is for the title of the baddest man on the planet, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you are the UFC heavyweight champion, is there a man in the world who could challenge you in a no holds barred, hand-to-hand combat fight?
I don't think so.
Like you're the mixed martial arts heavyweight champion of the world in the biggest, greatest promotion that exists. You can basically walk around knowing that there isn't a human being on the planet who would be able to beat you in a hand-to-hand combat fight.
Yeah, you don't even need a life. What do you call them, man? Not a lifeguard.
A bodyguard.
A bodyguard. Yeah. You don't even need a bodyguard because they're not going to do anything for you. I mean, baddest man on the planet by far. It's the same as when we talk about boxing, right? As great as Mayweather is, the baddest man on the planet from a boxing perspective is going to be the heavyweight champion.
But this is what I'm saying. Like we say that, and the term came from boxing, the heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest man on the planet. But I mean, let's be honest. If you put Muhammad Ali or Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury against Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou, who's going to come out?
Yeah, no holds barred.
In a no holds barred hand-to-hand combat fight. So who really is the baddest man on the planet?
Well, listen. We'll share some of those bare knuckle fighters. I think there might be one or two in there that might be able to stand the test. Those guys are bad. Bare
knuckle is crazy. But speaking of crossover matchups, let's cap this off, Pregels, with our celebrity death match. I've got the tournament draw ready. and I'm about to press the button. Here we go.
See. Oh,
okay. We have Jason Statham.
Okay.
Versus Chris Angel.
Wow.
Do you know who Chris Angel is?
Yeah.
Mind freak.
I don't know what his history is in fighting. I know Statham is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I think.
Yeah, he studied multiple martial arts. He's the real deal, man. Like he's a movie star, but he's one of those guys who don't fuck with him.
Yeah, there's a reason he's chosen to do fight movies, is because he brings a certain element of it to it. So I don't know what Angel's
Chris Angel, as far as I remember, I think he studied karate and kung fu. Okay. So let's set the context. If Jason Statham had to go up against Chris Angel in a no holds barred fight, who would win?
Statham. He's a bad man. That guy's ridiculous.
But dude, what if Chris Angel is an illusionist, right? What if he started using all of his fucking weird ass shit and disappearing and
everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
he should be in a video game. They should put him in the UFC. I'd have to go.
What's that guy's name in Tekken? The guy that disappears and spins and
Yoshimitsu.
Yoshimitsu. He's Chris Angel, man.
No, fair enough. But yes, right. I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah, I would have to be Jason. I mean, look, that guy's a specimen though, as well he's built to shit. So strength-wise, he takes it as well. So I'll have to go with Statham. But anyway,
if anyone disagrees with anything that's been said, hit us up. Please don't forget to hit us with your comments about the greatest martial arts movie of all time. If you have suggestions, if you have alternative views, and also whether you think Fight Club or Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon is better. We have to clear this up.
And for anything else, you always can go check out our blog. There's loads of guides and tips in there for anyone starting jiu-jitsu or looking to start a new fight art form. And also there will be a new page going up in the next week or so, introducing some tutorials where we actually talk through different moves within the jiu-jitsu world from a black belt. We will actually be giving Shaun some tips.
One of the top competitors.
Yeah, man. And I believe he's just actually taken over one of the jiu-jitsu gyms. So he runs the whole gym. So incredible fighter. And he's going to take Shaun through some step-by-step feedback on Record, the platform that we actually use for feedback on martial arts. So go check that out as soon as it goes up. You'll be able to see it on our social platforms. So Strictly Fighters on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check it out. All right.
Yeah, super exciting to have him on board from one of the brothers else and me in Durban here in KwaZulu-Natal. Till next time.
We be addies.